Stock market crash all around the world, Nasdaq is no exception. On the other hand, companies who are not suffering from the crash continue to fly over the market at Mach 3 cruising speed. To register, just click on register here in the middle to register and get a 1 month of trial. Among this list of 10 positions, there is one that particularly interests me which can attract our attention. It is Humacyte. So I do not know what you know about Humacyte.
What is Humacyte?
A business that's going to take off. It is a company that manufactures universal transportable human organs. Organs are very expensive. These are the most expensive products found on the market, more expensive than diamonds because they are vital for surgery, lung, kidney transplant. One can find them for $50,000 to $100,000. It's on the black markets, like in Dubai or in India because there are sours there. So Humacyte is going to propose another solution, and also because today one use genome editing techniques. So there are also 3D protein clays to make dice. Exactly. This is precisely what Humacyte does. That's why I'm talking about it. Humacyte is going to use this kind of technique to translate human organs. First, they impregnate the matrix. Then they will implant stem cells into the matrix as well as the specialized cells for the organ. It's natural. And so it sets signal proteins which will bind the extracellular matrix will proliferate from stem cells and the organ that we are going to transplant.
Well, obviously this thing is a theory on paper, a crazy thing, because the embryo cells are not specialized. Sorry, are not differentiated, they are embryonic. And then after in the embryo, when the embryo multiplies, the areas of the embryo when it has taken a certain mass are distinguished from each other because there are receptors which make the heart, make the lung, so on and so forth. At Humacyte I think they know their strategy, they can develop organ like this way. I imagine. Yeah. So among the organs that are marketed, well, trachea, pancreas, lungs, urinary tract, rinse, lungs, well, these are their products.
The product is very expensive, worth $100,000 on the market. So suddenly it's new entry that matters because the thing is that it doesn't use xenograft, it uses another technique, well, the extracellular tissues implant. And this company has only been on the market for 2 or 3 years and they're recruiting in the United States. It is a business that is taking on enormous proportions, so their promise is this: to transform human stem cells into transplantable, regenerative, and universal organs.
Yes, I know the process reminds me of a movie Mike 17 at the cinema right now. It's a guy who, well, in the 2000s, I don't know how many, 10,000 or whatever, and duplicates humans, and Mike 17 is the 17th clone they made.
Alright, but this movie is unreal.
Go ahead, I didn't cut you. So clone human beings to harvest their organs. That means we kill them in the end. That's not ethical. And it's prohibited by law. As, it looks like a sci-fi movie.
I know very well that science fiction is very far from the reality. You have to understand that you have ethical laws than the doctors themselves. They are controlled by the other doctors who can ban unethical doctors from their profession for this kind of thing. Marketing the organs is forbidden in many countries. Yes. Technology is evolving. We're always looking for more ethical, simpler methods to do this kind of thing, so there you go. So this is the process that offers transfer from the scaf, is the 3D printed scaffolding of wicking polymer. So these polymers are not degradable in the body, so they must be removed. That's why the formation there is growth in the polymer, and here we remove the polymer. It's called deceleration. Okay. Which will remove, well, all the polymer. Okay.
This box, it's promising. I think it's promising just by how much is it expensive.
Just look on the Humacyte. So we go to tradable list at 7. So you type Huma, who's suffered the rock crash. He's leaving because there aren't many falls over the 6 months. Well, there we see the effect of the crash. Crack for yeah. There he will resume. That is to say, he is in a buying position there. He is in a buy position. Exactly. My little one has been putting the purchase on it well since last week. So start, but there it is in red. That is to say that there it is for sale. No, red means it's bearish and green means it's bullish. And if we compare the beginning of the week, yeah. At the beginning of the week it is 129 and at the end of the week it is 1.57. Well, he's already taken 10%. HM. While the crasher is not.
Finished. So in short, so it can go down or not.
No, I think it's going back up. It's starting to rise again. Yes, there is a very strong momentum that is detected on Humus. There, it's the top 10 positions if you want. We'll look at them one after the other. So Milan is a spare part for 2 reasons, as I told you. So there is a little momentum there. Well, it's not great compared to Humacyte. Then, biological HW. Well, organic companies are pretty good at the moment. I don't really know why. Everything that is pharmaceutical, so there it starts to rise again, you see. Yeah. So you see, there's a little momentum. We see the crash, we see the thing. Yeah. We do this, it's the crash that concerns everyone. 95% of companies are affected by crash as well. 95V3 LV3 are the Power 4 boats. They're the fishing boats. I don't know if you know in Australia, so we see a lot of boats, so there you go. They make ship boats and boat building. It's the Power 4 with the solar panels on the roof if you could okay. Yek Twin Life. Yek Twin Power 4s and pleasure boats among other things for fishing, so here it is something like that you see it as a boat like that you have a life. So there is a little momentum in this company. That kind of stuff. So then FTFT. So FTFT is, I think, a company that does fintech. Yeah, it's fintech. So that's all business service. There you go, a little bit of momentum. We'll see. It's a fintech. I have fintech, it's cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, so firewall air. Then CRML, I don't know what it is. Critical metal, very strong momentum. I watch metal, I don't know everything. Hawk. So they do metals, metal mining. So mining minerals. I think they have mines of minerals. Anyway, all that minerals, all that will go back up there. Everything that is MCTR construction. MCTR as well, that doesn't mean anything to me. I think it's a group that does business. Yeah. Head scare. At home, infirmary, all that kit. Well, little people committing suicide like that, it's not great. Not great, no. So then we look at it, it's oncological, so it's biopharmacy. So very strong momentum you see. Very strong momentum. So that's it. That's it. That's a C purchase there. Yeah. Green means buy. Green this purchase. Red means advance. There we have a very high volume of exchange. Fat. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a political thing together today. We are towards the crash, or we are towards the fourth period. What follows the fourth period is the first period, which is called stagnation. So that means that if we look at the economic cycle of the market, well, there's no secret. The economic cycle is something that is very well known. So the four phases I said, it's four phases, so expansion, slowdown, and trough. Today we are in the trough because there is the rock crasher. So it's all cyclical. So it will start again, that's for sure. So we are in a recession. Okay, so there is the recovery, which is perhaps within 3 months. It takes time, cut and be rushed. And for the recovery, we must invest exactly at the end of the depression. There we are full of depression, full time, and here we are in the recovery for 2 months, and that is where we must accelerate. This is where you need to inject all your cash flow after the recession. I wonder how many economic sectors are there actually. There are 4 sectors. There are 4 sectors which are defensive, then what we call growth or technology. The third is cyclical.
Cyclicals, what is it?
Cyclical, it's everything that is an intertrade product tourism. Leisure, things that are not essential. Things that can be for nothing, we can consume for nothing. And finally, a banking sector. Banking sector, it's all the fintech, all the real estate, all that these are 4 fundamental sectors of the economy. So yeah, today we're going for the defensive. In the recession, if you do an alpha readjustment there, you put all your alpha on the defensive. The defensive is Walmart, for example. Walmart, we're going to look at what Walmart is. I think everyone knows Walmart. Walmart, if I wait for WMT at Walmart, you see, it's growing because we're in a recession. So if you still want to invest, well, we can't invest anymore. Well, look here, the crashing started at the end of March, beginning of April, so it's only growing. That's it, it's a defensive value. Otherwise, defensive value on Nasdaq, you can type in Google the 10 best defensive stocks that resist market. We don't have any comments. Not bad. P is not bad. Dream of pitch it starting again. It's been since the beginning of the week. Dragon Ball. Yeah. Johnson & Johnson, yeah, it's not bad, it's defensive value anyway. We only have defensive values, so that's stable. After that, there's Walmart, so we talked about Walmart, yeah, not bad. Pepsi, it's not bad. Either Pepsi, Coca-Cola, stuff like that. Pepsi, Pepco, who says Pepco says Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola. You see, it starts going back up towards the rise. There, we have a lot of growth.
Coca-Cola, you see.
Coca-Cola. They're on. Yeah, it's a technology service. McDonald's, yeah.
Did you see that?
Oh yes, that's clear. MRK values. MRK, it is for sale. There it is for sale. There in green. C for purchase. He is really at the bottom of the ranking. But I see that. Yeah, you can put it back. There you go. That's it. See that? Yeah, it's falling.
Is this the best time to buy?
You have to buy low and buy now. This is the technique of investing. But it's true that it's very low there. It is very low. He lost at least 10, 20%.
What else?
Whatever it is, it's gone up quite a bit since the beginning of the week, and TNT also defensive. And there you have it. So there you have it. These are companies which allow us to have a little working capital for the future, because in 2 months, we will emerge from the crisis, and when we emerge from the crisis, it will accelerate. We must target defensive values on technological values, also called the growth values. Meaning on stock market, we can miss the magnificent, for example. That in 2 months, we have to bet on that. In the Magnificent Seven.
What are the Magnificent Seven?
Yeah, they like the God-made companies. I confess in a world of a cruel world, that's it in a world of sharks, they like sharks to feed. So in few months, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Tesla, that's GIFM plus Nvidia and Tesla. That's beautiful. There you go, that's it. From here, we'll say end of May, beginning of the day.
I didn't actually show you the cash flow. Go ahead. As such, it's the money that's the value of the portfolio. So you see that you are negative. It's crashed for 2. We're missing 24,000, 11,000, 17,000. So what's that? It's the one from cash. What does that mean?
The value of the portfolio. Your wallet.
Yeah. What do you mean? The schedule.
No, that's the wallet you created. Yeah, here's my wallet. This is from my wallet. As you can see, it's red everywhere, crash rot. So except the 10th. The 10th was Thursday. I have a technical rebound. So there, I made a positive 70k. Here we are. So everything that was lost before has been more or less recovered now. You can see selling with Excel it's clear to understand what's happening during the crash too. We will look at the different cash flows. I love mathematics. In my business school, we do a lot of math just as much as in engineering school. So first we're going to look at how much I lost. How much did you lose? Ah yes, you have to transform into a number. That's stupid. Transform into a number. How do we transform it into a number? I'm not a pro. I don't know how.
Why is it transforming?
Yes, that's because in France it's a comma, not a period. That's annoying. H. I think I was lost in the 100 cases a little. About 42,000. Well, it's okay. I know it's not catastrophic. It's okay. I thought my 100k is less 42 cases, so it's not catastrophic. It's not catastrophic. It's the number of win. Look at how much I sold this little, not bad, and how much I bought back from buying 553. Well, there's still a little potential. You see, the trade says that it's not bad. Finally, it's okay. What? It's not the 42,000 losses. I can make up for them within 2 or 3 months. So it's not too much of a problem, you see. Even in cash flow, adding up the percentages on the total of my portfolio, that's only 3%. It's not 42 cases. Pretty much what I lost during the crash. That can be fixed. It can be fixed. Not too much. So you look at other times of the year where I did a maximum bull run. It was in November, you see. Just before the American presidential election, just before the arrival of Donald Trump. There, I have no pain. There, you can see it through the craft. So we have a bull run here in November. November. Bull run. Yeah, huge. So almost times x2. And there are rock crasher who arrived here so at the beginning of April rock crasher. Otherwise, in other moments, it's a bit stagnant, you see. We stagnated in October, we stagnated in January. January, February, a little growth, but quickly lost since March and strong growth also at the end of March which is there. And right now it's not the crash period that dominates. So there's something that we like to do among traders is that since everything is relative, we're going to compare what is comparable. We will compare with the NDX index. NDX is Nasdaq 100. Nasdaq 100 is very interesting because it brings together the 100 most valued companies in Nasdaq, and through all these companies, we can find out where our portfolio is. So today, that's what we're going to do with Excel. We're going to open a sheet. We're going to look at it compared to the Nasdaq 100. What have we actually lost? Because the others lost too. And what have we lost compared to others? That's interesting to know. Yeah, here for example. We will take the step of the month of March from the month of March, so from March 12 until now, so there are only 2 pages. Well, you do that. This is what I showed. So the first thing is to replace the periods. There's importance to look at the performance. Perfect is performance. Okay. So the rule for calculating performance, well, you first do the sum between that and that, H34. You look at the sum of the performances. So minus 0.05%. So the stack, we only lost 5% in performance, we call the sum, and you also make a product. Produce what we call real performance. So the product of that, you have to make plus 1 then.
It doesn't support vector summation. Wait, how come we don't produce more of this?
You actually have to do plus 1 and you do the product of all these performances. I don't know if it's like that. We will look at it in parentheses. What is it? We have to add them up and we have to put them plus 1 first. Do that. That. So that's equal to that plus 1. We make a product from this and that. That's real performance. What interests me is knowing what Nasdaq has lost. And then, in relation to my wallet, what have I lost? The daily performance since March 13th is this one. So what you see is minus 1.8%, 2.4 plus 2.4%, and so on. So if you add up the performances, we are at minus 5% since the beginning of March to mid-March. So the crashing accelerated from the beginning of April. So the rotten crash. He arrived here. Okay. And the real formula is not the sum of performances. Among economists, we use the product function to produce performances. This is what we call true performance variation. This is called approximate performance variation. Approximate, that's it, that's the sum. The sum is approximate and the product is the real one. The real performance is that Nasdaq lost 6.4% of the index of the 100 most valuable companies. As a reminder, we lost 3.6% while Nasdaq 100 lost 6.3%. So we read better than Nasdaq 100. If you want, we'll have Tesla. There, we are going to look. We are going to compare Tesla with the Nasdaq index. There you go. Yeah. No, the first thing is to replace the periods with commas. Okay, then we will copy the sum. So that's G29, G51. This is Tesla performance. And if you take the product, then you make it equal to this plus 1. So that's what we're going to crunch that in. So there you go. That's a product. That's okay. So the performance, if you look at the sum of the performances, it is worth 6%, 6.8%. Yeah. If you look at the real performance, it is 1.7%. Economists use this calculation on the right. This calculation is called true performance. True performance is not the sum of performances but the product of performances. It is a product of this variation. Finally, it's the product. The product is you multiply each variation and one after the other. This is what economists use. This is what you learn in business school. So we say that Tesla increased its variation, finally increased its value by 1.7%. So what you see is 0.017%, while the Nasdaq 100 lost 6.3%. So actually it was a good performance. Exactly. Tesla is said to have outperformed the crisis, exactly in relation to the Nasdaq crisis. This is the conclusion of economists. You're going to tell me that's surprising. It's surprising because everyone falls, everyone has lost money, and from that point on, they get out of it, you see. Yeah. They are even growing by 1.7%, while the overall market has lost 6.4%. You see, you say it's incredible, but actually it's not that incredible because you have to know that Tesla has already lost a lot since the beginning of the year, as I told you. So actually, they can't lose more actually. They can't lose more because they've already lost a lot before. You see, every gain is linked to losses and every loss is linked to gain. If you never lose, you can't win. If you're always canning, expect to lose one day. Motocross is a philosophy. And like Tesla, they lost quite a bit at the beginning of January, beginning of February, let's say until March. So, they have suffered very little crash. Look, they've got it, they've stayed their course, you see. Besides, you can see through the prices. So we even went from 248 on March 12th to 252 on April 11th. So for them, the Poirier crasher is just dick. The Poirier crasher is bit. They have hardly suffered any crashing effect. This is proof that Tesla is a sure bet. It's a value, it's not just any comp. Well, in B we can compare, we can see with Femto. I don't know if I know Femto. Femto is a company, look, that has lost a lot. Look what Femto is. Femto Technology is a company that works for women's wellness device that's for the well-being of women. Oh. Is this about women's well-being? I don't know if you're not a woman, so you can't know what a woman's well-being is. Roughly speaking, it's menstruation. Finally, the monstrous pains. Alright, yeah. Already this kind of technique. So it's a device that you attach to your arm to know if you have any. Here you have the manual for all that. Well, in short, something for, let's say, a gadget, you know, for the well-being of women and society. We're going to look at how much they lost compared to Tesla and compared to 100 and why they lost so much. So we come back to FTO, we do exactly the same thing. Well, here I go again, I come back to Excel. So here we are going to compare Femto with Tesla. So it's true that Femto isn't very well known, you can search on Google. It's not a great company, but they really lost a lot during the creation of the water cream. So there you will. Copy minus 98%. It lost 98% of its value between April 11 and March 12. So it has to go back up. No, actually it's a company that lost so much money. It is quoted at $3.1 before the rock crash, and after the rock crash it is worth 3 cents. It lost 98% of its value. That's it, unlike Tesla, which resisted very well. Tesla a lot. That means that if you take a hit, you can't go any lower. That's it, right? Well, she's going to go bankrupt. Yeah, you're going to get zero back because by law, when a company goes bankrupt, the shareholders get nothing. Nothing. A company is not obligated to repay its shareholders if the company goes into liquidation. These are the first laws we learn at business school. The thing is, when the company goes bankrupt, it doesn't even try to broadcast to its shareholders. It first seeks to connect its suppliers and employees. That's for sure, but don't even try to upset the investors who have invested. So this box is there. There are two solutions. Either we sell it to another company, we will recapitalize, or it files for bankruptcy and therefore you lose all the money you invested. Imagine you invested $50,000 in Femto. Well, actually, you have zero left. You lost $50,000. That's what happened to a lot of people. Well, the 1929 bust. That's it. Because there were a lot of people who invested. They lost their money because the companies did it and the shareholders were left out. Here's FTO. It is the opposite of Tesla, which has supported the rock crasher very well. Well, you see, it's not cool for Femto, who has lost 98% of his value. That's it. You have to understand why, because at Femto you need the Femto business plan. Femto is a company that sells, let's say, catchets. All the companies that sell catchets are classified in what we call the cyclical sector. Cyclical sector. That means that these are things that are not totally useful to society. There you go. It's just that there is no sustainability. There is no sustainability. Yeah, there is no sustainability. And most people, when there is an economic crisis like the current one, they get rid of it. They get rid of it right away. So it's true that FTO can be good in the years of abundance, in the years we'll say before 2020. Because it's in the West services well-being, you see everything that is, for example, the gyms, things like that you see in the quality of life, but that does not resist a crash for, because there it is. After, you can also look at the finance sector. That's FTO. That's FTO. They sell little boxes like that. So we talk about Bank of America. Bank of America. So I'm going to copy that. We're going to compare Tesla to Bank of America. So Bank of America is PA Croix, I think. Good American coffee P. I don't see. Yes, I know, because I copy. Oh yes. No, it's fine. Yeah, because I'm manually copying the values to the file. I have my teacher every day. It's the same Bank of America minus 10%. Then, we will look at Walmart, which is the defensive. Walmart has grown 9% since the start of the crisis, as is Tesla. Defensive is Walmart, so it's 9% growth. Okay. Then we said tech. Tesla is 1 or 2% growth, I think.
How much is Tesla?
1.7% growth. Then cyclic, well, it's femtocyclic. It's femto, so femto is minus 98%. And finally, the banking and finance sector, so that's Bank America. Bank America is minus 9% of this motorcycle. This is important to note, is that during an economic crisis, during a crash, what resists best is defensive and defensive technology. You see, we have achieved growth that resists. On the other hand, it was necessary to get rid of the cyclical and financial sectors as quickly as possible before the fall. So if we were in March, if we knew that between March and April there is a crash down, and in March we had to get rid of cyclical and financial, so we had to sell, we call for readjusting. We will sell everything that is cyclical and everything that is financial, everything you need to be a broker. You could be a broker on the Paris Stock Exchange. Well, all my teachers are brokers actually. I have teachers who have 30 years of experience. No, but working for a bank and being a banker at the Paris Bank in the trading room means, well, all my teachers work in the trading room. I have 4 teachers. Good. We all work in the trading room, and I have one who founded his own investment company. All right. Yeah. He's actually a 30-year career man. He started in the 90s and he worked in large companies from bank to bank.
TickerWiz, it was necessary to maintain defensive and technical values. So during the crash fall, and that is separated from the cyclical and finances. Now you're going to ask me, but what is cyclical? Give me details.
Well, cyclical, as you explained, is all and is not necessary to. Exactly. It's all that is not necessary for survival. So for example, you have pharmacies, Walmart, food stores, those are the necessities. It's absolutely everything that is pharmacy, health, food, and retail. It's defensive. All right? Because it's useful. It's really useful for human health, for human survival. So there you go on Tick. Do you see my screen there? You go to general information. You go to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 SIC tab. Yeah. And this here is actually the Industrial Code of Commerce. American Department of Commerce and Production. It's for accountants. They need the 60 code to work like investors. So there, this is the standard list of SIC. You can watch SSI. So this is the code by 2030 manufacturing, or you can do sort method, reverse sort method. For example, you have sort on today. We will need telecom, military, and it is not cyclical. We agree it is necessary. It is tech for you. For me, it is tech for me. It's true that satellite and all that. I'm techie, it's tech. Growth is all about growth, or same thing, synonym. Well, it's not as good as defensive, but it resists the pack a little, so if you want to talk well, we'll maybe look at any 30. There you go. Manufacturing household appliance. So you put the SIC code here, 3630. So there, it's 3630, around 3630. So 3674, we have semiconductor, and you see Astrolab. Well, there you have it around, well, everything that is an electronic component. So they have on the market good at random to land. Well, you see that they still resisted a little to the crash, you see. So that confirms the technology is resisting. 4. Now we have SIC codes. We will look for one who is, we will say, course. We'll look into that. We'll see what it does, no surprises. So we have 20 companies. A SPO, you see they lost a lot. During the crash, you see they lost almost 15%, what 10%, 15%, which is not bad. You see 15 is cyclical, well sporting too. There are lots of companies.
What is it? Space to cloud data analytics company tracking global data such as tracking of maritime, aviation, and pattern. It has satellites. That's it. And it's the United States and Europe. They invested $158 million to track down the 600 ghost ships of Russia. Oh yeah, hear that.
Yes, you surprise me. You surprise me.
Satellites and espionage, all the satellites are going to rise. Yeah. Yeah. This is crazy. This is crazy. The demand is going to be huge. So pumped that they spent 158 million. It's not huge, I think. I don't think it's a lot, but they spent 158 million just on the ghost ships. The 300 to 600 ghost ships. Well, they say it's 600 actually. Not 300 because 300 seems like 600 to me. Well, they said it was 600. They have 600 ghost ships that are operated by Russia, and they spent 150 million just to have satellites to track them. Wow. The USIC wants to suck all the oil from the ghost ships. Oh. So that means that Russia will lose and therefore take all the oil from the ghost ships because it doesn't belong to Russia. They're ghosts. Well, that's okay. They are ghosts. As. Ghosts means they are undeclared. So that means that they have undeclared jobs. It's just that Russia can't say these are our ships because they are ghost ships. Okay. Yeah. So the Americans are smart. They're going to take the money from the oil boats, and the oil companies are going to resell it on the market. They're going to sell it to the traders, and all the money is going to be used for Ukraine, from what I understand. Well, it's clear that the European Union and the United States of America have an interest in sucking money from the Russians. Besides, they have already sucked up all the Russian funds. No. They do, and have they don't have they sucked, they blocked the money. They didn't use the money, they used the interest. Yeah, that's it. But not the capital. But the oil that sails on the 600 ghost ships is a huge amount of money that they want to extract because the ghost ships do not belong to Russia because they are ghost ships. Yeah, they are.
It makes sense.
That makes sense. Unless Russia says these are our ships, and so it becomes more like ghost ships. So at that time, they have the sanctions, they suffer the sanctions. So there, the Russians, they're a bit in trouble. Because either they say, well, it's not our boats, but then they lose all their money, or they say they're our boats, but at that point, well, it's part of the economic sanctions. Normally, well, they don't have the right to sell. In addition, these boats, fishing boats. Are they boats? No, it's the oil tankers.
Oil tanker, that oil is money. I'm talking to you about the 600 boats, 600 ghost tankers that Russia uses to sell this oil to India and China. Okay. So that's why the Americans want, yeah. Well, a company like that is like Spire. It's the same because it allows the American town hall to have this data there. There you go. So that means that this is going to rise. That will rise exactly, that the demand will be enormous. Well, look among others. I mean, it's not just them. Well, you see, since April 7th, you see that it's starting to rise. Yeah. And after the release of the crash, they will do a X10. That's clear. Of course, besides, you see that companies like that, they have almost a monopoly. There you go, life science the same. Everything that is in the field of health, clinical testing, therapeutic biotechnology there. He's talking about blockchain casino, the connection between clinical testing and blockchain. Apparently, it's a company that bought the source code and usual properties for packaged technologies, platforms that operate blockchain casinos. Nothing to do with therapeutics. I think the CEO, he must have met people in the Internet of Network Games, you see. Besides, when you go to this kind of thing, the code of who is the 2834 normally it should be changed. What? 2834 is life science pharmaceutical preparation. I think this change corresponds more to reality. We can look at what they do. 180 is a company that makes technological breakthroughs in everything related to drivers. So they study diseases in addition to blockchain casinos. They make drugs for rheumatology. There you go. So you want me to tell you something? Yeah. And you know that in Australia there are a lot of casino rooms. Okay. Casinos belong to casino groups, but the machines are managed by a supermarket like Walmart. Yeah, they don't have it their job. Well, in France, the supermarkets want to get into the dry cleaning business. Like, you drop off your clothes. Yeah. Your clothes, your suit, and you have a locker, and you have a dry cleaning service that's managed by Carrefour, for example, which will wash your clothes, all that. Well, that's what they want to do. I saw it, I heard it on TV. They want to diversify the personal service, which is linked to the customers who come to the supermarket. Not so much the casino, because in France, I don't think you can bet on money like that easily. You need licenses, I think. And yeah, but they have the Carrefour here. They bought the licenses. Okay. Yeah, it's a lucrative business. That's for sure. Potentially, it could be interesting for yeah. Well, when you do a variety of shopping. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I found it weird. What a food thing that, well, yeah, it's inexplicable. Things like that. So come back to the table. In Wix, they say that it's a company that bought blockchain, you see. It acquired source code and IP related to Packet technology platform online casino block casino. iGaming, did you see on the last moment? iGaming. There you go in gaming. So Paris Sports, Paris Online, what, you see. Well, listen, it's the same thing as the things that are done here. It's the Australian Miss Model. Did you see the number of employees? Did you see the number of employees? 2 employees, that means it's undeclared. You know that in France, there are 99% of providers, and even the provider not declared. You see, it's weird, companies like that declare no employee. Yeah, the same business model.
Well, if you want, you can compare it to it hides everything. Yeah, we can only compare Amazon, right? I don't have Amazon in my positions.
At Amazon, we can compare with their employees. Well, that's what interests me. Look at the employees. Number of employees 56,000. So at Amazon, we have the opposite. There you go. So it's the opposite of science companies who have 2 employees inexplicable. We don't really know. Maybe at Amazon, they're fixed term contracts. They're not necessarily permanent. They prevent people for a month. Yeah.
So there you go. So then, by the way, Amazon resisted the crash. You see that they didn't very much between before the crash and after the crash.
They didn't suffer damage. Let's get back to the positions. We'll continue browsing the table. There you go, we're talking about urban grow, it's farming, the impression DIY machinery equipment. Simply they're not bad PC, but it's not because of the crash. And now it's going back up. It's starting to rise again. Look at what it does like Europan. Design solution for indoors. So I have a story to tell. It's what we call indoor growing. I worked for a company doing vertical farming. I don't know if that means anything to you.
Vertical farming means you have scaffolding in a room inside and they grow vegetables, salads, whatever with it.
Using ultraviolet light. Yes, artificially, that's it. So it's indoor. So I worked for a company like that. Aquapony indoor, all that, hydropony. Well, I don't know if I know these terms actually. Hydroponics, aquaponics. That's it, and they have a room in which they grow plant walls, then they sell the entire wall with the so it's a company that targeted the hotel market. They sell walls to hotels for reception actually. That's where its motto, it's a small market niche. Al, these are companies I don't know. Well, I don't have any preconceived notions about that. It's true that it's tech, it's very technological. But is it really useful? I don't know because you have to combining utility with technology to do business. It's not. It's not simple. Well, anything indoor, it's viable. It's viable. Yeah. Yeah. We don't know if it's viable, actually.
Urban Grow is like all companies, sell solutions. But in my opinion, it's cyclical because it's a trend.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah, it's more cyclical.
That's true for the moment, it's not concrete.
Yeah, it's not concrete, actually. It's not concrete. Could it become concrete in 20, 30, 40 years? Well, I spoke with the guy who lives in Dubai, by the way. He's an investor. He told me it's cheaper to import food from countries like Iran or India. It's cheaper than growing vertical farming in the city of Dubai because real estate in Dubai, as you know, is $10,000 per square meter. That's the price of Parisian real estate. It's not viable. Yeah, because clearly, buying the entire building for $10,000 per square meter to grow plants is not profitable at all. The boat that comes from India, which is 6,000 km away, is actually cheaper. Oil is cheaper than real estate prices. So that makes sense if neighbor countries like Iran ban food exports to Dubai. That makes sense. It makes sense if there's no more oil on the planet.
Exactly. It makes sense. So it will be the case in 100 years. So that's why I say it's cyclical. That's why I say it's cyclical now. It will be necessary in 100 years. Exactly. In 100 years. But so you have to buy the shares in 100 years. Mitchell, but then in 100 years, I think we'll all be on the moon. That's another story. And then my money can't sleep for 100 years. You know that time is more expensive than money.
Yes. So no, leaving your portfolio inactive for 100 years is a bad thing. It's a bad thing.
No, no. I told you not to take your assets to buy the cyclical to buy it in 100 years. It's clear.
Clear.
Your dispatch of all the companies was very, very good.
It was very good. I wrote everything down.
Yeah. I took notes too.
Well, yeah, because the advice I give is not crap. Because there are a few companies I like. So I'm keeping it to one side. Astrotech, we're going to look at it changed in a month. There you go, sectoral drop. So it did, it suffered from the shock. But it's okay, it's resistant. 6.23 currently. And a month ago, it was at 6.44, so it resisted. The companies that resist the crash, they're going to rebound after the crash. They're healthy.
They're healthy. Exactly. Then the second company we talked about was Tesla. Gained 1%. It didn't fall. And then we talked about Rito. Rito was a company that recycles waste. So there, Rito took a small drop because of the crash, but it's not bad. It's minus 10% because it's cyclical. It's cyclical. All this cyclical undergoes the shock, but after that it's stable.
After that, it's stable. You see 35, so it's a healthy company that's not going to go under, and after the crash, it's going to rebound. Afterwards, we talked about Xpeng. Well, obviously, that's it. It also took a little bit of a drop, but it's not bad, you see. It lost $2 or $3. That's about 10%. But now it's starting to rise again. Yeah. So Xpeng is very good. And finally, one last is BYD, I think. Lasted only 3 weeks. After that it starts again, and companies like that's a sure value its growth. There is LC who says that Trump made an exemption of customs duties of 145% concerning smartphones and computers. That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. Did you see that right away? That means that iPhones are not taken in the 145% of the zones.
Well, we feel the work of the lobby, you know. Lobby, it's clear. Hook the hook. It's weird that he didn't mark in the cars of Tesla. Yeah, it's true. Well, yeah, it's in the personal interest the institutions work for those who govern. There you go. Insider trading, but that's for sure. Yeah, we also talked about GM, you know. GM, oh yeah, that's true, I remember. It's not the same to suffer a little shock there, but it's stable, it's a sure thing too. Yeah, business, that. Well, a little minus 10% like everyone else. Back up 10%. Bye bye. Ciao. Thank you. Thank you, it's good. Good night. Thank you.
TickerWiz with a day to drive. Stock market making move, come alive. Bonds on the block, staying in the sky. Cash flow high, we never say bye. We never say bye. Trusting candle, action clean. Beam lines climbing, know the dream. Technical, nice and keen. You glow on that money screen. The market swings like a wild dance. TickerWiz, don't leave it to chance. Buck brigade in a rhythmic trance. Every trade's got a winning stance. TickerWiz with the data drive. Stock market making move, come alive. Bonds on the block, stay